And then I'll start again. We are recording. All right. Awesome. Well, welcome to the Stock Market Challenge training. Again, I'm Risa with JA Staff, and Tessa is also here with us. If you have any questions as we go through this training and or after the training, please don't hesitate to reach out because this is new for all of us and we really want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable. So as mentioned, I am going to start first by showcasing the curriculum aspect and how this whole program comes together. So you should have received an email from either Tessa or myself that includes all of this information. So you're going to notice that there is a curriculum attached, and the first portion of the curriculum showcases the teaching aspects, and then the last few pages showcases the simulation aspect. So this program is a really fun way to really get the students thinking about their futures. So what you're going to notice is the first pages are just kind of some introductory information, some definitions. And then on page 4, you start with the actual session. So you're going to be going in 3 times, and the students are going to be jumping on the computer simulation all 3 of those visits. So the first portion is going to be some teaching, and then the second half of the class is where they're going to actually be jumping on playing the computer simulation. So what you're going to notice is that we have some life connections and Q&A throughout the visits. We know that all of you guys have a different background and a different expertise, and we really want you to be able to fold in some of your real life experiences, some of your industry expertise as we go. So feel free to kind of tuck that in throughout the lessons. But then you're going to notice that we do have curriculum that really outlines what we want you to showcase each day. So for the very first visit, we want you to take a few minutes to build rapport with the students, showcase your industry, your background, your education journey, how you got where you are. It's also a lot of fun to showcase that we do have a culminating event in the spring, which is our stock market challenge. And it's here in Sioux Falls, and we have lots of areas that drive in for this competition. If your teacher is interested in showcasing this to the students and allowing them to participate, especially if you're in a statewide area, maybe check with your teacher first. But there is a short little video that you could showcase that shows the event. So the fall students, as well as the spring students, are all invited, and they would work with their classroom teacher to get scheduled. So it's always kind of fun if you can bring some excitement and some awareness to that event in conjunction with your teacher. So as you're going to notice, we do have some some time frames that are tucked onto these, and we really want you to kind of watch your time because ultimately we want the students to be able to get into the simulation. The other thing is if you can ask your classroom teacher prior to your first visit or as you come in on your first visit to see how much the students already know about the stock market. Sometimes JA is a precursor and an introductory lesson to it, and other times they've already gone through the unit in their semester. So just check with them to kind of see. But what you're going to notice is we want to start with the end goal in mind. Why are we even talking about this? Why do we care in high school? We want them to think about and dream about their retirement and how are they going to get there? And investing is one of those ways that they usually do get there. So talk a little bit about retirement, and then we're going to jump into the stock market basics. And this is where it's going to look very different in every class. But what I want you to know is that Tessa and I are providing the classroom. Oh, shoot, because let's see. Can you even see this? Let's see. Is there a happy spot? Since I have this background on, I can't even see it. Ah, bummer. Tessa, what do I do? Is there any way? I can't get you to see it. How come it doesn't like me? What if I'm way back here? No? Okay. Well, you can kind of see it. I'm messing around. Here we go. Here's the sweet spot. So your classroom teacher is going to get a set of worksheets, as well as, I really am frustrated by that. I need to turn that off the next time
You'll
I do
have to
this.
take off your
Table
background.
tents, and then also slips of paper to get the students in. And the one thing I want to show you or tell you is that these are color coded. So if your classroom teacher has more than one section, the very first personal finance class they have will be blue. The very second one is going to be, I think it's green, and the third one's going to be yellow, etc. So make sure that you know what your color is when you get there and just double check, because on the top of the slip of paper, it will say what class period it is. And that's one of the biggest things that an educator might mess up in creating the game. So just know you're going to have a color. So if you're blue the first day, and then all of a sudden you've got green slips of paper the next time, you know you're going to be in the wrong class. So that's just something we tried to do to make it easier. That's how I did it. I'm not sure if that's how Tessa did it, but now she is for sure. I don't think she's printed yet. Okay, so they are going to have these student worksheets. So please just ask your classroom teacher for them. You can distribute them. You're going to notice that on, as we scroll down on pages 7 and 8, it shows you what that student worksheet looks like. There is a lot of content, and we are not asking you to go through all of it. Ask the students what they already know about the stock market. Hit on some of the highlights, and just know you can fold a lot of these topics in once the students actually start playing the simulation. So you're going to notice that as we scroll back up, there are talking prompts in how to kind of walk through this aspect of it. Again, we all have different expertise and different backgrounds, so please crescendo what makes the most sense for you. But again, kind of watch your time, because we want to make sure that we're only spending the first, 15-ish, maybe 20 minutes talking with the students in the beginning, and ultimately we want them to get into that simulation. And I'm going to show you how you can pause the game throughout, and you can have them, you can still like talk about, diversification and things like that when they're actually in the game playing. Okay, so that's the premise of session 1. What you're going to notice is that under the summary and reviews, we do have a couple of those life connection prompts. And this is where, if you want to fold in a little bit more in your summary and review, you can do that at the end and or throughout the visits, kind of whatever makes sense. So just know that we've provided those. The second visit, so before I show you the simulation, I'm just going to talk about all 3 of the beginning sections of the sessions. Session 2 is all about time value of money, and in our opinion, this is the most important element to this program. So we really want to get the students to understand the earlier they can start, the better their final outcome is going to be because of compound interest. So you're going to notice that we have a little bit of a conversation about compound interest, and then showcasing 3 different profiles of how your end result would look if you started and stopped at different times, but invested, various amounts. So some people like to use this. We just kind of jot down these portfolios or pull 3 students up to kind of showcase the 3 different avenues. And if you have your own way to showcase time value of money, you can do that as well. But this is just kind of our simple way to showcase it. And then there's a little bit of class discussion, because why do people not start early? Usually it's because they say, I don't have enough money to do that. But if you're really strategic, there are always ways to find how to cut costs and create some savings in order to be able to invest. And you don't have to invest thousands, right? Starting small and increasing it as you can is still going to be better than nothing. So that's the discussion and the brainstorm we want them to have about savings tips to get them there. Then you're going to notice, again, after that conversation, taking about the first, again, 15 to 20-ish minutes, they're going to play the simulation the remainder of the class time. Again, we have a couple summary and review tips, some life connections, just some ideas of what you could share from your personal perspective if you want. And then the third session, we really only want to take a little bit of time, and we want to give them the majority of the class period to play the simulation. And we call this reality check because we want them to understand the difference between real life and the simulation. We don't want them to think that JA is teaching day trading, to be honest. The game is very fast paced, the days move quickly, and of course that's all because it's fun. It's video gaming, right? And so it's the fast pace that keeps their competition and their interest and their excitement for the game play. So these are just a few of the realities of how people in the real world do investing, some of the things that are a little bit different than the actual experience with the simulation. And then again, you're going to take the bulk of the class time to play the simulation, and then just wrap it up and thank them for their time, for you getting to be in the classroom for the 3 visits. Okay, so I just want to pause there. Is there any initial questions regarding the curriculum aspect of the program? Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to look into the simulation. So I want you to know that the remainder of the pages showcase how to set up a game. And again, I just want to reemphasize, we have asked the classroom teachers to set up the games. However, just in case they happen to be sick last minute or as they're in the classroom, we want you to be able to help troubleshoot or know how to play the game just in case it's needed. If any of you guys are like, this is my jam, I would absolutely love to geek out with you, Risa, and create games. I would love to have your help and being able to create games. So some of you guys are going to enjoy this a lot and you're going to love creating games. If you want to, please just reach out to your teacher and let them know or ask them if you can create games, etc. It is a lot of fun, but this first semester especially, we're all just trying to learn it. So we're not getting too crazy. We're just sticking with the basics. So you're going to notice that everything is written for you, and I am going to showcase the how-to. In Tessa and I and Kelsey's emails, you might have gotten an email from Kelsey, depending on which community you're in. You also have a how-to video and it's tagged. So if you just want to jump in and watch one little 5-minute portion of the full 35-minute video as a reminder or refresher, feel free to do that as well. So I'm not going to show you, but I want you to know that all of these steps are written out. It looks very cumbersome, but I promise you it's turnkey once you do it. It just takes a little bit of time to get there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Chrome browser to showcase the volunteer and teacher aspect, and I'm going to use Edge to show you the student aspect, okay? If you have any questions, please let me know. Again, it's a little bulky, but I promise you I'm going to do talking in the beginning, and then I'm actually going to showcase you how quickly it is to build a basic game a second time after I use all the words the first time, okay? So you're going to go to smc.ja.org. There is no www, so keep that in mind. You, the volunteer, the teacher, as well as the students all go to the same website, smc.ja.org. You're going to click on log in. And once you do that, you're going to get into the login page. Now, if you haven't already set your password, you can click on Forgot Password and it will walk you through that. Otherwise, you are going to set up your own password and you're just going to use your email and your password and click Log In. From here, there are 4 tabs on the left-hand side. The Home tab is going to be all the competitions that you have set up. The classrooms are it should just have one for you, but the classroom in which you're enrolled, or if you're teaching 2 sections, it'll show both. Competitions is where we're going to actually create a game, and I'm going to come back to that. And then general reports are going to showcase, once a game is completed, all of the reporting. Now, one frustrating thing is that you cannot see the games that the teacher sets up, and they cannot see what you set up. So if you happen to set up a game and run it through, they don't have access to the reports if they want to see them, and vice versa. That's one frustration point that maybe JAUSA, they've got a couple of enhancements they're hoping to do, but I can't guarantee that it's going to be one that comes to fruition. So again, this is all probably more information than you need, but I just want to arm you with the full process. So what you're going to do is go to competitions. And when you go to competitions, all you're going to do is create a competition. So this is where it looks very bulky, but hang with me because it's just unnecessary white noise is what I like to say. So I'm going to explain what it is, but honestly, it just doesn't matter. So I'm going to give you my fastest tips and tricks. First of all, you need to name the competition and it needs to be identifiable. So the algorithm that we're asking people to do is the school initial. So I'm just going to use JASD, but maybe that's WHS or Watertown or whatever it might be, wherever you happen to be from. And then whoever's setting it up, last name. So your last name if the volunteer is setting up, the teacher's last name if they're setting it up. I can see everybody's games that are set up. And so that kind of helps Tessa and I to be able to see if you guys need help or if you want us to check a game or if you need us to set something up last minute, you call because you're in the classroom and the teacher is sick, etc. That's going to help us out. So I'm just going to use my, I'm just going to say Zoom right now so that we know which one it is. And then you want to specifically say what class period it is. So are you the 810 class? Are you first period, third period, whatever it might be? And you might not know the period, but you might know the time of day. And then we're going to say visit 1. Or visit 2 or whatever it might be. You want it to just be very identifiable for your students to click on and know what game they're in. You get to create the bank. So do you want to give them 500,000 to play with? Do you want them to have 1,000,000? Do you want them to have 250,000? We don't actually know the best case scenario, so we're going to be asking for your guys' feedback. Right now we're suggesting 500,000 because it seems kind of manageable, but if you use something else and you want us to give or want to give us feedback, we'd appreciate it. Now, the one thing you want to notice right here is that we're on the pre-event setup tab, and that doesn't make sense for an in-class practice, but basically it's just allowing the students to be able to buy stock before we start the game. So this is where it seems very unnecessary, but you got to pick a start date and a start time. It literally does not matter. So I always pick tomorrow. And I always pick 1 o'clock. It's just what I do. Then I never have to think about it. And I just do it very quickly. So just know it can be before that date. It can be after that date. It literally does not matter. So I always pick tomorrow and I always pick 1 o'clock, even though my classes aren't going to start for a week or for a month. You can just do it. The other thing you have to do is tell the students in this pre-competition prep, what do you want them to do? When you click in it to the very first time, nothing's going to be in here. So again, this is where I'm saying it seems cumbersome. Again, you have to pick a start date. I always pick tomorrow. I always pick 1 o'clock. And for the end date, I always just pick the end of the month, whatever last day of that month is. It literally doesn't matter. So I just do that so I don't have to think about it. And then again, 1 o'clock. So you have to repeat that 3 spots, which is why it seems like it's confusing, but just pick tomorrow, pick 1 o'clock, pick the end of the month. Don't think about it, just do it. Trust me. The very first time you go in here, you're not going to have anything, but you can type something in. And once you do, it's going to remember it. So the very first thing we want students to do is to explore and pick their stock. So that's what I just say, explore and buy stocks. They're not even really going to see this. So it's kind of just white noise that we're going to use for our state competition, but for the in-class practice, it doesn't matter. And then I just copy and paste it. So again, that can be very, very fast after you do it the first time. You're then going to hit save, and you have to hit save one more time in order for the rest of these tabs to open up. So once you have these, now we're going to actually set up the competition. So event setup, you have to pick a start and date and time one more time. So again, what do? I don't think about it. I pick tomorrow. I pick 1 o'clock. And for the trading options, in the in-class, we want the students to be able to do the electronic trading and have digital news, but to not have to think about it, I always click allow both. It just doesn't matter. So you want to just click on allow both. And then this is where, for the first time, it does matter. So you kind of want to think about how much time that very first visit are you going to have to have the students play. And JA suggests that you take the first 15 to 20-ish minutes for your introductory and stock market basics. And then the last portion of the class is going to be for the competition. It's probably going to take them at least 5 minutes to log in and buy their initial stock. So kind of keep that in mind. We always suggest that you round up so that you don't run out of time, but if you don't quite get to finish it all, it's okay. If that makes sense, you can just call time whenever that end of the bell is. So I would suggest realistically, you're probably going to have 25 to 30 minutes of gameplay that first day. So I'm just going to set it for 30 minutes. Now, these two work together. So what I always like to do is I just like to put in the seconds per day. Do you want them to have 60-second turns, 75-second turns, 90-second turns? Again, we don't exactly know what the best practice is, and we would love to hear your feedback. I think everybody's personality, every teacher is going to want something a little bit different. Some of them are going to want to have quick turns so that they can get through more days, and others are going to want to have slower turns so that the students have a little bit more research time. So I am suggesting the very first visit, maybe 75 seconds or 60 seconds. I know a lot of teachers are setting it up for anywhere between 60 and 75. I'm just going to do 60 for the time being. So you're going to see that it auto-generated 30 days. So just kind of keep that in mind. Okay. So that's setting up the premise of your game. You can just skip the knowledge challenge. Let's say if you wanted to create a pop quiz, you could put it in there, but that's not needed for JA. So all you're going to do is click on save. Now you're going to load in your stocks and news. White noise, you have to click on select, you have to click on round 1, and then you have to pick the template that you want. You can manually set up a game, and I'm not going to take the time to show that at the moment because unless you're really a guru and want to dive in deep, it's usually faster to start with a template. So you're going to notice that there are a bunch of templates already preloaded. If you go all the way to the bottom at this point, JA of South Dakota has some in-class practices. You're going to notice we have access to the entire nation and JA USA. I cannot guarantee that all of those templates are baked and ready to go, but if you do choose any of them, I can show you how to make sure that it's got a decent amount of stocks and movement in it. So the first thing you're going to do is pick a template. So we had a 30-day template. So maybe I'm just going to pick 30 days for now. But what I want to show you is I'm going to pick the 45-day one just so that you can see what happens if those two numbers don't match. So I'm going to pick 45 and I have to click on the apply mode button. Now what you're going to notice is that there takes just a second to load. It's going to pop up with 2 tabs. One is going to showcase all the stocks that I have loaded into here, as well as all the news items or alerts. Okay, so this is where you can ignore all of this. You do not have to do this, but if you wanted to kind of get your head into things, you could scroll down and view what the stocks are showcasing. You can also edit them for this specific game. If you want to go in and change anything, you can do that. If you want to add your own stock and create something from your own company, for example, you can do that. It is so customizable. It is so fun, but we realize not everybody has time to get super, super deep. So if you want to make any templates changes, if you want to add different stocks, if you want more stocks, you can do that here under those 2 tabs right here. Okay. There's an easier view for that. So normally when I set up a game, I don't scroll down right here, and I'm going to show you where I do usually go. But again, I want to show you what's possible. If you were to want to create your own manual game, you do the same thing. When you click on manual, then you have to come down here and load your stocks first, and then any news items that are connected to those stocks will then be available under the news tab. So there's more directions on that specifically in the pre-video that we did and or in that written instructions. But right now we just picked the 45-day template, if you remember. If you want to, you don't have to do this here. There's actually an easier view. So if you're tight on time, don't go right here. I'm going to show you where it's easier to do it, but I want you to know the capabilities. If you click on itinerary and you click on this blue bar, it's going to show you how that template got put into the game. Okay, so here you can see on day 1, 2, you can see on day 10, we actually have 2 news items. What I want to tell you is that Tessa and I and Kelsey, from creating the templates at the statewide level, we do not have the capability to build as detailed of a game as you guys do, which again, we're hopeful is going to be an enhancement that JAUSA is going to be able to launch, but we can't promise that. So this is why, even though you choose one of our templates, we do need you just to pause and look at this briefly to see if there's any that overlap. It's okay for them both to show up on day 10, but if you could change this to day 11, it just provides a little bit more traction for the students. So I also want to show you that if you click it didn't obviously load too many, but we clicked on the 45-day template in a 30-day game. And so there was a couple that popped up that were extra under day 30. So if you pick a 60-day template and you only have 30 or 45 days, there's going to be a bunch of them that come up at the bottom. Either the students just won't really see it because it's the last day, or again, if you have time and you want to, you can easily come over here and just edit the trigger day. Like, so instead of day 30, let's make this one on day 22. And it's literally that easy. So if you come here, you can easily spread these out and just make it a little easier for this to spread them out. So again, Tessa and I and Kelsey, we do apologize that we can't make it clean, but if you do pick one of our templates and are in a huge rush, we made sure that there's not more than 2 or 3 on one day. Okay, so that's just one view of where it's really easy just to kind of see what's going to happen in your game. And again, ignore the date and the time because it just doesn't matter. Okay, so that was the itinerary tab. The most important step is to make sure you load in the appropriate participants. So under the participant tab, you are going to click on individual and apply. Now you're going to notice that for you, you're only going to be in your section. So it'll be a lot easier because most of you are only in one. However, I know there are a couple in Sioux Falls that are actually teaching 2 sections this fall. And so you want to make sure that first you open this drop down and click the specific class period that you're working with. So I want to set up a game for my 8 o'clock class. Okay. Then you're going to notice that we tried to do the algorithm where it's period 1. So we want to make sure that the 8 o'clock class matches with period 1. Again, that's more so for the teacher, but I want to point that out just in case you get in the classroom and all of a sudden your students and your game's not matching. It could be that they accidentally forgot to first do the drop down before they actually clicked down here. The other thing I want to note is that when you click, if you click on select, it will click on all of them on that one page. But we have loaded 20 logins. We encourage students to work in pairs, but we do know that some prefer to work individually. So we have given 20 logins for the students to use. You do not have to use all of them, but when you set up the game, just click on all of them. And then anyone that's not actually playing will just stay with that initial bank, and it will kind of showcase where, you know, this is if you were to put that 500,000 underneath your mattress, right? You're not gaining any money, but you're also not losing it. So back to this, it only does the first page, not all 20. So you click on select and then go to your second page and click on select again. And then when you click on add, it's going to have loaded all 20. So you just want to scroll down, make sure you get to the T and you have all of them. And you're just simply going to click on save. Okay. So that's the biggest part with the participants, and I will show you how to fix it if for some reason you're getting the classroom and you don't have it. When we did the pilot last spring, I didn't realize it only did the first page. So I only had half the students loaded into the games, but I was able to easily fix that in the classroom during the game. And so I want to show you how to do that. You can skip the configuration tab. It is just really more so for our statewide competitions and our screen sizes. And then you can go to preview if you want. Again, it's not necessary, but if you want to kind of get an idea of these are the stocks that are in our game and this is how it's going to move throughout, you can kind of see like this GRI, there's not really any movement throughout the game until the very end, which is fine, because that's real life a lot. There's not a ton of movement. But if you wanted specifically for that one to have more movement early on, I guess there was a little more than I realized, you could always go to a news item and actually make it advance more, which I'll show you in a minute. Okay. So I know that was a lot of talking. I'm going to show you how to do it one more time very, very quickly in just a minute. But at this point, all you're going to do is click on publish. So when you click on publish, you're going to notice that that game now goes into your home tab. And if you remember, it was the Zoom one, which unfortunately I should have named it. Do you guys see it? Don't fail me now. What happened?
Yeah, it's second from the bottom.
Oh, here. Sorry, I could not see that for some reason. Thank you.
You're good.
So what you're going to notice is that as you build games, it does get a little muddy. So that's why we want to make sure that we name them very specifically. Okay. So I want to pause for just a minute before I move on, and I want to show you the student view. So in theory, this will be already done before you get to the classroom. Your classroom teacher will have them set up. If for some reason you get to the room and there's a sub and the teacher is sick, etc., I'm going to show you one more time how to do it very quickly, but we're going to assume that it's set up. Okay, so we are ready in the classroom. A lot of times the teacher can even set up a game if they didn't do it ahead of time while you're doing the introduction. Okay, but right now we're going to pretend you've done your introduction and now it's time for the students to log in. So again, I know you can't see because of my background, but yep, right here. So you're going to hand out one slip of paper to every student, and you're going to notice it walks them through exactly how to get in. So I'm going to use Edge for this view. So again, they're going to go to smc.ja.org, and then when they click on login, they are going to have a fictitious email. So that's going to be on their slip of paper. And then everybody's password is capital P with the word password 123 exclamation point. They're going to simply log in. So this is the view. This is where you really will need to help the students get in because this will be new for everyone. So what you're going to see is that for the student view, they're going to see all the games that the volunteer sets up as well as the classroom teacher, which is why we want to make sure it's very specific so that you don't create a game that's called, period one, visit one, and the teacher does, and then we don't know which one's actually which. So that's why we encourage you to tuck in your name here. So here's my Zoom one. So this is the class, and so you'd want to make it very specific as to which class the student logs in. So once they click on it, they have to pick student and hit select. And then you're going to notice that over here, they've got the My Portfolio open as well as the Enter Event is not yet highlighted because remember we had the pre-event setup tab, and this Enter Event will not be live until we start the game, okay? So they're going to just click on My Portfolio, and this is where I really want you to kind of get some of the tips and tricks because this is what you're going to be helping explain to the students and showcasing to them. So, excuse me, I just swallowed wrong. So what you're going to do is, first of all, if for some reason it's nice to look over their shoulder and make sure they're in the right period. And then they get to just start exploring stock. So as they scroll down, they can click on the stock symbol and they can read about the stock if they want, and they get to buy and sell on their own. So first you have to buy. So once they click drill into the symbol, they can buy the stock here. It has to be purchased by quantity. So kind of give them that thought, like they might think that buying 100 is a lot, but if you think about it at $85 a share, it's not really that much when you have $500,000 to play with, right? So maybe they want to buy that. You're going to notice that it auto generates the price and they can change it if they want, or they can buy. They're going to confirm it and say, okay. And then you're going to notice it gives them their available funds here. Also, once you have some purchased, you have the opportunity to then sell. So you can either pick a quantity if you want to sell 500 of your shares, or you can sell all if you want and just get it all the way out as well. So again, totally up to them. Okay. So they are just simply going to spend, again, I'd say 3 to 5 minutes, kind of just exploring all the different stocks that are available. We have loaded these templates with about 25 stocks. We would love to hear feedback. Is that too many? If you create a game, is 15 better? Is 20, 25? Do we want more? It's really fun as we get crazier in the future. We can think about, do we want to showcase one that shows diversification? Do we want to show a game that, focuses on, IPOs, things like that. So there's a lot of customization, but again, we just started off pretty basic. So maybe we want at $10 a share, we want 1,000 of these. So they're just going to go here and buy some of their different stocks. Again, they click confirm and okay. What I want to show you is right now, this ticker tracker is just neutral because we haven't started yet. But as the game gets going, it's going to actually showcase if it's going up or down. The other thing I want to show you is there is a watch list. So again, there's 25 different stocks, 5 pages here that they can scroll through. If they want to see things close at hand, they can click this star and it's going to pop up over to their watch list. Okay, so let's just say they don't want to drill in as deep. This is not that they're buying the stock. This is just that they want to watch it. They just want it to be on their home page. So they can easily add it or delete it. If they delete it, it's not like they're selling it. It's just not on this side of the page. So those are a couple of the tips and tricks. Also, as they scroll down, you can see the transaction history. So if they want to be reminded of what they've done, they can come down here. So this is the part where you might want to, take a minute to kind of showcase it on their overall homepage. You can always see, like right now, their value is 500,000 because we haven't started. But how much cash do they have versus how much do they have in their stock values, etc. Okay. Okay. So that's the student view. And what I'm going to now show is, again, the teacher or the volunteer view. Usually always the teacher takes the lead. So hear me say that, but I just want you to know what to do in case. So when you log in, you are going to go to that specific game and you have to pick that you're the director. It's going to give you the opportunity to actually manage the game. You're going to click select. Now, this is where the very first time the teacher might need a little guidance as well. So we're all working together. First of all, if you want a really simple way to kind of double check your trigger days and a really easy way to adjust them, again, you can do that in that pre-event setup under itinerary, but also right here, you can click on this and drill down. And if you wanted to split these up, you could. And again, you do the same thing as before. You'd scroll in here, you just change this trigger day to maybe day 7. The other cool thing here is if you guys want to see more movement, you can actually click on what industry does this specific news item affect. So it's very easy to change that here. You can add some. If you want to add it, you can change what percentage do you want it to be changed. Maybe we want 6% for the airport and we want it to be impacted up. It can be gradually impacted up, etc. So there is so much customization and you can, again, get as crazy as you want. And you can also, so either the full industry or the stocks at hand. Again, you don't have to do that, but if you want to, you can. Okay, we changed the trigger day 7, so we're going to hit save. And you're just going to go back to your timeline. And the frustrating thing is, if you want to see that view, you have to hit on this blue bar one more time. The other really cool thing is once you start the game, you can still change things. So if you're watching your time and you realize you've only got 10 minutes of class left and there's no way you're going to get to these bottom days, if you want to, you are the teacher could come down and say, we're never going to get to day 20. So they could come in here and just, while the game is being played, you can click on this and you could actually make this, day 18 or whatever, and just move them up if you want them to see some of those days sooner. So that's kind of a really cool feature. Okay, so we're in the classroom, the students are buying their stock, and now we're ready to hit start. I want to show you two things. First of all, this competition information, there's 3 tabs up here. Once we get started, I'll show you what it does, but they open in 3 different tabs and you want to pull these up. So right now, I just want to show you as you open them, there is the same URL on all of them, except this 3-digit code is going to be different for every specific game. But you're going to notice that same code is the same on all 3 tabs. Okay. Now, once we hit start, these will make more sense. On this slip of paper that the students have, those 3 URLs are listed and they can easily type them into their own device so that they can see them very quickly. If your classroom teacher has a smart board or an interactive board that they can project it onto, we encourage them to project the news items and or toggle between the 2. Sometimes they can give you as the volunteer access to that to be able to toggle back and forth so that as the game is playing, you can kind of do some shout outs and see what's happening. So right now, we're just ready to play. Okay, so I want to show 2 more things. If you wanted to see the news items, your teacher or you would have access to print the news. You can always save it as a PDF and they could maybe email it to you so that you can kind of see what the news items are going to be on which days. if you want, unfortunately, because there's so much customization, JA cannot provide like a, hey, this is going to be visit 1, because it's really independent to whatever the teacher does. The other thing is sometimes the teachers want to know if they can have a printed list of stocks that are in the game. And yes, they can do that also by clicking right here. Again, they could just pick file save as a PDF, and then they could distribute those to the teacher or the students as well. So this is just a clean, crisp way of seeing all of those too, if they don't want to scroll and go through all the pages. So those are just 2 additional things in the past people have wanted to know. So when you're ready, all you're going to do is click on start, and you're going to notice it counts down on the on the student side. Now I flip to the student side. They're seeing that too, and it's actually putting them into the game. So now you're going to see on the student view that up here we are on day 1, and it's counting down how many seconds they have left in this day of trading. So, but really nothing else has changed. They can just continue to click in, buy stocks, sell stocks. Once we get through that first minute, we're going to see how it changes. But in the meantime, I'm going to go back to my teacher view, and I'm going to go back up to these three tabs. So one tab is going to show the newsletter items. On the top is going to be a little bit more lengthy newsletter items. And on the bottom, if there's just a really quick alert, that's going to show toward the bottom. The next one is going to be the stock market exchange board. So again, once we get through the first day, we're going to start seeing movement here, and being able to see if it's a bull market, a bear market, if it was going up or down. And then we also have the leaderboard. So again, you can see most of ours are showing 500,000 because we only have one that is actually in the game right now playing. But once they get going, you're going to see it here. If you did not use all 20 logins, we hope that they just fall on the bottom, because hopefully everybody else will be making money. So again, it can kind of just be a baseline for you to say those are if you didn't invest at all and just put that money under your mattress. So we hope no one's underneath that, but it's a good learning opportunity if it is as well. So now you can see we're in day 2, so it just rolls. So if you've done the old simulation, you're going to notice we used to have to click the button, and now we do not have to click the button. It just starts rolling. So now the exchange board, green is showing if it's increased, red is showing if it has decreased. You can see their ticker tracker on the bottom. Again, the students have the opportunity to directly pull these 3 tabs up on their own devices, and so they can see it. So now you can see day 3 is having some news items. We're already in day 3 over here. Clearly I'm talking. And you can see from the teacher view, if you go back to that main screen where we hit start, this is where this blue line is going to just start rolling throughout the event. So again, if you wanted, you could scroll down and say, ooh, there's 2 18s. Let's just quick move one. And while the game is being played, you can come in here and move it. And I anticipate the teachers doing that more than not, if they even want to. It just doesn't matter. Okay. The other cool thing is the pause button. So if you want to get the students in and you have a teachable moment, you want to talk about one of the news items, why would that impact it up or down? Did someone just move on the leaderboard and you want to pause and see what just happened? Did they sell something? What were they invested in that really affected it? Did it get connected to a news item, etc.? You can pause the game. Now, the thing I want to show you is when you pause the game, on the student view, it grays everything out. So this is both good and bad. The good news is it literally makes they cannot do anything. So you get all the attention, which is perfect. And the game doesn't keep going while you're talking. The bummer is I wish it would pause, but still let them to see stock, because sometimes you just want to give them a minute to kind of be able to regroup and have extra time. And unfortunately, you can't do it. So you can pause the game. If you wanted, or your teacher wanted you to start a game, like if they set up a 60-day game and they want you to play it throughout the course of multiple visits, you would need to pause the game before you get out at the end of that first period, or it will just keep playing the game through and it will be void at the end. So if you want to stretch a game from the first period to the second period, First of all, you have to make sure you know what students were using which specific code. So write their name on the back. That's usually the easiest so that they log in with their same credentials. Or and you just need to make sure you pause it. Okay. The other troubleshooting thing I want to show you real quick is this edit button. So as I mentioned, when I did the pilot, I did not put my second half of my students in. If you click on edit, if there's a student that's not in or like you can't figure it out, you can always click on edit and go to participants. And when you're here, that's where like all of mine are in. So I can't really add any others. But if you wanted, you could click on add. And let's just say we were in the wrong class period. You could pick a different class period and you could add some of those students in it, etc. So this is where you could add students if need be very, very quickly. Okay. All right. So before I let you guys go, I'm going to show you without all the chatter just how quickly it is to set up a game. Promise you less than 3 minutes, but I want to pause and just see if anyone has questions before I do so.
So yeah, obviously this is a lot. Um, you obviously went through a lot of tips. Is there something that we will get that kind of has these tips that we can
Yep.
hopefully help guide us from in the classroom?
Yep. So in the last 4 pages of the curriculum have the written instructions, and then we also have a 35-minute video that's tagged for each of the sections. So if you just want to be reminded on how to start a game or how to set up a game or how to do a manual game, you can also click to which section you want.
So are we able to do a demo ahead of time?
Are you able to what?
Set up a game ahead of time just to go through it ourselves?
Yes. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yep, you can do what I'm doing if you want, which is like use 2 different browsers if you want to see, you know, the student view versus the other view. Or if you have 2 devices like like a home laptop and a iPad or something like that, you can also sign in as a student another way as well. Yep. Okay. So really quick, without all the extra talk, I am just going to show you one more time. If you were in the classroom, this is what I would do if all of a sudden I had to set up a really quick game, okay? I'd come to competitions, click on create competition. I would name it my school. I'm going to just say AA so we know exactly which one it is. I'm going to pick 500,000. I'm going to pick tomorrow and not think about it. I'm going to pick 1 o'clock. I'm going to hit set to-do list. I'm going to pick tomorrow. 1 o'clock. The last day of the month, just because, 1 o'clock. I'm going to click here. I'm going to hit explore and buy stocks. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to hit save again. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to go to my event setup. I'm going to pick tomorrow. I'm going to pick 1 o'clock. I'm going to pick allow both. I'm going to pick a 30-minute game with 60 seconds. I'm going to click on save. I'm going to go in and add my stock. I'm going to just go down here, pick my 30-day. I'm going to hit apply mode. Because I'm in a hurry and I'm going to trust the template, I'm not even going to look at an itinerary right now. I'm going to go to participants. I'm going to click individual, apply. I'm going to pick the class period that I'm working with. I'm going to hit select, page down, select, hit add. I'm going to just pause for a minute and double check. Yes, I am the period 1 section. I have all my students down to T. So now I'm going to hit save. That opens up this publish button. And because I'm in a hurry, I'm not going to look at anything. And boom, my game is done. What did it say? If you plug it, yes, that's what I want. Oh, event date. Did I pick tomorrow? So I didn't pick tomorrow. I picked today. So publish. Now I can do it. Okay. So literally that took me what? Like I wasn't timing myself, but it's pretty quick. And then when you go in again, this was the Zoom AAA, you just click on director, select. And this is your game. And again, if you needed to, you could simply just start the game and get the kids going. And if you wanted, you could also always then go back and actually edit these if you wanted. But you don't even have to, because there's never usually more than 2 in our templates. And again, we apologize for that we can't spread them out more, but it's just not possible on our statewide template side, which is ludicrous, we know. So thanks for your patience there. But that's how quickly and how fast it really is to set up a game with the bare basics and the minimal if you use one of our templates. Okay, I want to show one more thing. And that is, if you are in a class that specifically is a computer lab, because a lot of your personal finance classes are going to be in computer labs, it can be very hard for students to log out. So when I click on log out, you think you've logged out, but when you go back to log in, well, of course, this time it does it. Sometimes it will give you the right login page, and sometimes it remembers your credentials. So I just want to point that out because there's a few workarounds if that happens. So if you are there with a substitute and you can't get the teacher logged out, if you go back to the curriculum, there is under troubleshooting, it does talk about the 4 different options you can do. So the easiest thing is to clear your browsing history, and Control H is the shortcut. So in our test pilot classroom, when we were in a computer lab, the students just did that. Now, sometimes the school does not allow them to clear their browsing history because they want to be able to track the kids. The next easiest thing to do is to use an incognito window, which when you're in, if you don't know what that means, when you're in Chrome or in any of them, if you click on the 3 dots, it will say open in a new incognito window, and that just doesn't remember any of your credentials. So then when you go to smc.ja.org, it should give them a new one. Again, many students or schools do not allow the students to use incognito windows because they want to be able to track them. So then what do? Use a different browser. So that's an option if they're, if they have the opportunity to use Edge instead of Chrome, something like that, Safari, etc. That's an option. But if all else fails, and this is where you would need to probably look at this sheet, there is a back end that will log you out fully from the system. And so this is just extra info, but I want to arm you with it because it can be very frustrating if you can't get somebody logged out to log back in. So access.ja.org, it is something we don't normally give out just because it's extra stuff that people don't need to think about. But if you can't get logged out, oops, now I'm in that incognito window. All you would literally do is go on the browser, click on access.ja.org. And when you get here, now it doesn't even know me. Let me do it on the student view. So on the student view, if we go access.ja.org, this is what they're going to see. So you're going to see this student right here, or the teacher's name, etc., your name if you're in. All you have to do is click on this drop down and hit log out. And when you do that, when you go back to the smc.ja.org, it might show them still in it. Let's test it this time. See how it thinks it's still in it? But once you log out, they'll really be logged out. So that is a little extra just in case there's trouble. If the students have their own Chrome devices or their own tablets or their own laptops, then that shouldn't be a problem as long as they remember what their specific credential was or what team number they were. It will do it for them. Okay, Tessa, I'm going to stop sharing. Is there anything else or other questions that you guys have? So again, usually your teacher will just have it all set up and it'll be good to go, but we wanted you to have the big picture. What we want you to do is we want you to have fun in the classroom. We want you to mill around and talk to the students individually, see what they're doing, check to see how much cash on hand they have. You can't make money in the market if you don't have your money in the market. So make sure they're maximizing that $500,000. Sometimes they buy 100 stock, but it was only $10. And so it really wasn't that much. We want you to pause and crescendo what's happening with those news items. Why is it driving up? Why is it driving down? Is it a bear market? Is it a bull market? We've got all those little talking prompts within that curriculum, but that's what we want you to do, is to have fun with it and kind of just look for some of those themes. And honestly, some of the best conversations happen when you're milling around the room and helping them or having them showcase what you're doing. You can showcase diversification, things like that. So with 2 minutes left, what else?
So doesn't look like I received the curriculum. Did you say those should have been sent out?
Kyle, remind me what school you're teaching at.
Brandon Valley.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so Kelsey will be sending hers in the next day or two. So that's probably why you're like, oh no, I don't have anything. So just so
Right.
you know, you'll have the written curriculum and the how-to, along with a 35-minute version of this training that has tag points where you can jump to each specific point.
Okay.
So I apologize for that.
Okay. Oh, no problem. And then, so it sounds like, so hopefully the teacher has it all set up, like you said. So is it really just either the teacher or the volunteer is I think it's the director role. Is that right? And that there's only
Yep.
one person that's really in there leading it.
Yes. So whoever set up the game is the one who's able to be the director to start, pause, and end it, if that makes sense. Yep.
Okay. Yep.
I totally understand if you need to jump off. I want to show you one more real quick thing I learned. So just jump off if you need to, but I want to show you, oh, now I'm not even in. Let me see how quick I can do it. Reset 82 at live. So the one thing I want to show you that's frustrating, let me think. Get it. Oh man, what is it? I've got too many passwords. There we go. The one frustrating, oh, now it thinks I'm in. See how fast you can do all this? Let's see, log in. Now it should know me, hopefully. The one other thing is, okay, when you're under competitions, if you haven't fully published it and you were just setting it up or practicing it, you have a delete button, which is glorious. So if you're like, oh, I don't want this one, I made a mistake, etc., you can just delete it and boom, it's gone. But what you're going to notice is when you're on your home tab, there is no delete buttons. Teachers can duplicate a game, which makes it super fast. So once they set up one game, they can duplicate it for all 3 sections. I didn't show you guys that, but that's what's super easy for them. What I want to show you, though, is if the only way, if you set up a game and mess it up, or you just don't want to see it anymore, you don't want the students to see it, the only way to delete it off of here is to have it play through. So all you would do is literally go into the game and you would start it. And once you start that game, it's going to keep going. And literally, you can log out, you can go do other things. You do not have to sit here for the 30 minutes it's set up for. But once those 30 minutes are up, you can literally get out right now. Once those 30 minutes are up, what you're going to see, I did these earlier, when you go back into it, it's going to say that it's done. So see how this says the competition has ended. So now I can say continue and don't show the results. And now it will no longer be in my queue. That's the only way you can delete something out of your queue. And then that will also take it off of your student view. So as I think it was Chris mentioned, can we practice and play? Yes, but I would definitely make it a demo game so that if it's still showing for the students, they don't accidentally click into it. So if you're playing, make sure that you use demo game dash whatever so that they just know for sure that, or test game, etc. But if you wanted to then get it out of there, you would just start it and let it play through, and then it will come up and say that it's done, and then you can just get it out of your queue, and then it's no longer there and cleaned up. So that's my other best tip that I've recently learned. And I know we're all going to learn tips as we go. So we want you guys to be sharing them. We will put in our emails, prompts of things that we're looking for, because since it's our very first year using this simulation specifically, we want to gain the best tips and tricks as we can. So thank you so much for jumping in and teaching it. It's an incredible program and the students really get a lot out of it, and we're grateful for that. All right, thank you everyone. We'll stay on if you have any more questions, but otherwise you'll hear from us more via email soon.